Well, this is the video on how to screw up your resin royally by Ryan Gertz. So that's the resin I used to make this here tape. What happened is I poured it in way too thick of lifts, and it actually bubbled way up here. It was all ripply here, and it turned to crap. And it even had a big split line in my resin. So I thought the table was pretty much garbage, but my buddy talked me into it. We can save it. So what we did is we took this tool. I think vibrates around and it cuts really good into the resin. We actually cut all this resin back out using this this cool little tool. I thought the resin was gonna chunk out and break out and tear and split, but it actually came out quite nicely. And then with all the air bubbles that were created, there was all these air bubbles all through here, like all over. So I used my Dremel here with this little buffer bit, and it worked really good on cutting all these little air holes out. If you need to get a smaller one, you can use any sort of Dremel attachment and grind those air bubbles out. Grind the air bubbles out, that way it looks the smoothest and the cleanest. We also learned is multiple pours. This is quite deep in here when I rotored all this out to put this deck in there. And so when I cut it all out, I did about 5 pours so far for this thickness. And I also poured my letters to get them all up to depth too, so when I do the top coat, it'll turn out a little bit better. There's also a misconception about your resin on how much sanding you need to do. You do not need to get rid of all of this white and all these marks on this top coat of resin. Because as you can see here, when I poured these letters to fill them up, look how clear it is in here. Like this was all like that all through here, all around here. So once you pour that next set of resin, it eliminates all of this completely. So there's a misconception that you gotta sand and sand and sand, make it smooth. That's not true. I also did a test piece of wood here with this block. I did a layer of resin. It's all dirty. I did a layer of resin on the bottom. You can see where it's a little bit darker in here. And I ground it, I sanded it, I turned it to crap, and then I poured another layer on top, and you can't even see anything underneath on where it got chewed up. So I was really unsure what to do, and I did some tests, and I realized that you don't have to sand it down with a 2,000 to a 3,000 grit. Waste of time. Okay, so once I finish some more pours on this, I'm gonna sand this height down, get it flush again, and then I'm gonna try top coat it. I thought this table was destroyed, but I'm pretty sure that I can redeem it into something still usable. So once I finish the pours on this, I'll show you a finished product. And this table was screwed up royally. I did probably the worst job ever anybody could do with resin, and I think I can redeem it. All right, so stay tuned.